So a lot of people on the internet have been talking about the concept of the Kali Yuga. I've seen Joe Rogan post about it on Instagram. It's basically become a meme. However, it comes from ancient India, and the cycle began after the epic war in the ancient Vedic text of the Mahabharata. The basic idea is that events in this world occur in cycles, whether it be the seasons or rise and fall of great civilizations. But there are also cycles of humanity's level of consciousness, and currently we are in the age of chaos. The densest stage of materialism. The word Yuga in Sanskrit means age, cycle, or world era. The length and the period of the Kali Yuga is different depending on who you ask, and I think it's more important to think of the Kali Yuga as an idea instead of something that is bogged down by specific dates of time. Overall, think of it as a part of the Vedic cycle of life that consists of 4 ages. Basically, the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Dark Age. The esoteric reasoning behind the purpose of the Kali Yuga is that one must go through a dark period to give rise to something good. The Golden Age would not be able to form without its contrast of the Dark Age. Therefore, every aspect of the Dark Age is an exact inversion of what things are like in the Golden Age. This gets into the idea that many people today seem to see things backwards from what the natural order is of things. The ancient Hindus were not the only civilization to believe in repeated cycles. Ancient Greek poets also repeated legends of a series of world ages, which they had inherited from the Thracians. These were assigned to metals, starting with gold to indicate greater spiritual purity, descending to our current age of iron, which was predicted would experience times of great evil and suffering before being destroyed. The ancient legends of the Norse of Northern Europe also view human ages as cyclical and predict a coming catastrophe called Ragnarok, when humanity will perish by flood and flames, rectifying evil and making way for the start of the Golden Age. It's a constant theme of Earth being cleansed of evil and spiritually renewed. The Hopi Native Americans also have a prophecy about choosing between 2 roads. One path leads to destruction through materialism, and the other path leads to living harmoniously with nature. They believe that there have been 3 prior human civilizations that also perished due to greed and had to be reborn. The last great destruction being a flood. In Western society, we usually view the idea of the end of the world through the Christian lens of the Book of Revelations. However, to ancient peoples, the end of a cycle was viewed more as a reset instead of a final ending on Earth. We can see this rhetoric played out today in terms of the phrase the Great Reset, popularized by the World Economic Forum. I think a good question to ask is, why does the concept of the Kali Yuga resonate with so many people at this time? I think it has to do with the sentiment that many feel the world is upside down, and intuitively we observe that life happens in cycles. The social scientist Luke Kemp analyzed dozens of civilizations, which he defined as a society with agriculture, multiple cities, military dominance, and a continuous political structure, from 3000 BC to 600 AD, and calculated the average span of a civilization is close to 340 years. From the Jamestown settlement in 1607 to the present, the span of American civilization has been exactly 340 years. Now, the United States is still a strong civilization, but as of late, its culture has felt more stagnant to people. All of our cinema seems to either consist of sequels or remakes. We've had 117 World Series, 52 Super Bowls, a seemingly endless debt ceiling in our economy, a presidential administration that comes off delusional and out of touch, polarized political parties that can't agree on a single issue, a global pandemic with no end in sight. All of this subconsciously gives off the impression to people that this cannot last. However, most people feel this is not leading to the end of humanity or anything, but to a point where something has to give, something has to change. When we are individually forced to change and face our shadow, it is called the dark night of the soul. And collectively, the human consciousness is being shown that we can't continue to treat our planet like this, and we're going to have to change. Ages of human life are said to begin in a golden age in which people and their rulers are virtuous and dedicated to a highly moral spiritual outlook. I would say that in general, our leaders are an exact inversion to that, to the point where that would be difficult for us to even imagine. Leaders with a highly moral spiritual outlook. In ancient Egypt, their golden age was called Zep Tepi, meaning when the gods manifested as humans for the first time. In one of their most ancient texts, it says that their first temple was called the Temple of the Sun, and was built to honor the divine creative sun. Remnants of this golden age can be found across the world, when the ancient religion of the sun was established and practiced throughout it. Hundreds of megalithic pyramids have been built across the world that line up with the cosmos, and particularly with the sun at the solstices and equinoxes. So I find it interesting that the current pandemic is symbolically named after the sun, with the word corona, almost like it's returning us to the golden age of the sun in its own inverted way. So another common factor of these ancient civilizations who built these pyramids was that they were far more focused on their spiritual reason for being alive. They were far less focused on material accumulation. However, Egyptian oral traditions state that people began to lose their spiritual senses, and ancient texts record how they departed from spiritual principles. Many sites were decimated, and practitioners of the religion of the sun were persecuted, and much of their knowledge was lost. According to some Vedic timelines, the world entered what they called the Kali Yuga, or the Dark Age, around 3000 BC. In this age, it is said that virtue diminishes greatly, and that practitioners of true spirituality are driven out into remote places. It's described as a time of great difficulty for people with principles and values. Hindu, Norse, and Hopi accounts all state in some form that global catastrophes have come and will come again. Not as random events, but of the only way to clear the earth of evil, when humanity degenerates to an extremely destructive level and doesn't wish to correct itself. Once in the book, the Mahabharata, Krishna asked the royal family of the Pandavas to go off in 5 directions and report back to them the strange things they saw. And Krishna would explain to them how these were the symptoms of the Kali Yuga. Now, the first one saw to his surprise an elephant with 2 trunks. Krishna explained that the elephant with 2 trunks symbolized the rulers of the Kali Yuga. They would speak one thing, then do another. Another Pandava saw Vedic mantras inscribed on the wings of a bird, but at the same time it was eating the flesh of an animal. He was shocked to see such an act by a divine bird. Krishna explained that the priests in Kali Yuga will have great knowledge, but on the other hand, they will desire great material pleasures and will exploit their devotees. The third Pandava saw a cow that was about to give birth. After giving birth, the cow started licking and cleaning the calf. However, the cow didn't stop licking, even after the calf was clean. It kept licking until it even injured the calf, and the farmer needed to separate them. Krishna explained it symbolizes that in Kali Yuga, the people will love their children so much that the love itself will destroy their children's capabilities, lives, dreams, and futures. The fourth Pandava saw a system of wells overflowing with water, but the largest well in the center was completely dry. This symbolized the poor being left behind by the rich. Finally, the last one saw a big boulder rolling down a hill. It could not be stopped by any large trees, but was stopped by a small plant. Lord Krishna explained that the falling rock symbolized how people will live in Kali Yuga. People will fall in character. They will destroy and crush everything on the way to success, but have no peace of mind. Nothing will give them peace except chanting the name of the Lord. Personally, I take this to mean embracing Christ consciousness, but I don't know. What's important to note is that the golden age of Satya Yuga is by far the longest age, and the Kali Yuga is the shortest. In the golden age, we are in perfect union with Brahman, or God, and all our actions and thinking are divine. It would make sense that the Golden Age would directly follow the Dark Age, because enough time hasn't passed to forget how bad the Kali Yuga is. Now, after the Golden Age of the Sati Yuga comes the Treta Yuga, where virtue has declined by a quarter of Sati Yuga, and minds start to become a little more dualistic and materialistic. Following this is the Dupara Yuga, which virtue is reduced by half of Sati Yuga. Then of course we have the Kali Yuga, where virtue is reduced to a quarter. Now, according to some Hindu scholars, we are only at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, but others believe we are at the end. Now, me personally, I think we're at the end. For me, there's no such thing as a magic date and time foretold long ago in an ancient scroll. All we can see is what's directly in front of us. And what I see is a collective consciousness of humanity that's had enough. We've had enough of the blatant lies and corruption and mundane entertainment, and we're ready to step up to the next level, whatever that may be. The end of the Kali Yuga is as spiritual and real as you make it, and the Kali Yuga is a wonderful time for spiritual development, and I think that's the most important takeaway of this, what people may call a rough period of time.